week. It's not that it's that the problems get solved, and we are solving them. So fingers crossed. Anyway, we are joined this afternoon by Sevra from the British Council, another one of our fantastic partners. And Sevra's going to talk me through her well, I'm not going to preempt it, but it's a personal journey, isn't it, Sevra, I think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice one. All right, over to you.
Right. I think that's me, everyone. So firstly, a very big hello, and just to say how happy I am to be, here with all of you. My thanks to the Modual team and the invitation to speak today, but also just the invitation for the British Council to be part of Modual Open Futures more generally. I'm shortly going to talk a bit about what the British Council does. But I think it bears saying at the outset that exactly what Modual is all about, connecting people and ideas around the world, and creativity for a positive future is what the British Council is all about. So we have that in common. The other thing I wanted to just say before I begin is that I'm so amazed and delighted that there's people joining from all around the world. Just so exciting and important, but also to just acknowledge, to take this moment and say, we're living through a pandemic, and this is affecting us as individuals and as citizens of different countries very differently. As you may know, I'm joining from the UK, and while our lockdown is easing, COVID-19 and the consequences are still very much with us, and this might be the same for many of you. So I think let's just acknowledge that, and those who've lost their lives, and the families and friends and communities that are grieving. These are really, really strange times, which, so I sort of, on the one hand, want to hold that, but also say that this allows lots of opportunities for rethinking, which is why we're all here. So, I've titled today's talk, Design Defines Us. And but before I begin, I want to tell you a little bit about me, because I think sharing sort of personal stories can sometimes be is a good way to get to know each other better. And I'll just sort of picking up on Fred's point that my journey into this space, I suppose, which is around design for good, or design for social innovation, or design for positive futures, whatever you might call it, has been a very personal one. So I thought I would just tell you a little bit about me. I won't take too much time to do that. So I trained as an architect and urban designer in the US and the UK and Finland, and I moved into design for good, as I've called it here, in design education after 10 years of practicing architecture and urban design. So I was essentially in private practice for a long time, but I had a real interest and desire to see my creativity going toward the public interest, and particularly also designing for and with nature and the environment, if that makes sense. And I think it's always interesting to know why do people get up in the mornings, and for me, I'm motivated by the potential of what design can do and how it can positively impact the environment, and as we strive for social justice in the world. On the right there, I've put a few images. The first is a project that I'm very proud of. That's the Holocaust Museum of Illinois. I worked on that project when I was right out of university, working in an architecture practice in Chicago, and just to work on a project that was about something so deep and painful to many people, but also to how you remember what happened in the Holocaust, but also how you sort of ensure that it doesn't happen again, and how do you do that through a museum building. So that's why I put that image there. The second image is, as I said, I have a real interest in, particularly when I was working as an architect and working in designing with nature and with natural materials, and that's a small project that I worked on. That's a sauna in Finland that a small team of us designed and then built. And then finally, this is sort of more on the design education angle. I've been working in this area for a long time, but before joining the British Council, I worked at the the Design Museum in London, and that's an image of it there. I can't take credit for neither the photograph nor the amazing sign that you see over there. That's designed by Morag Myerscough, who's an amazing London-based designer. So I just wanted to share that with all of you, tell you a little bit about, my journey. And so, as I said, I've titled this talk, Design Defines Us, because design allows us to explore our own identity and form our futures and to exchange ideas and share challenges. In the 21st century, design, sort of in the broadest sense, is the way that we interface with the world. And I really believe, and I think that the Modual team do as well, and hopefully why all of you have joined this, that design programs and projects and using creativity in this way are uniquely placed to address the global challenges that we face and to explore social and cultural value. At the British Council, we believe in the need to bring design to a wider audience, and particularly challenging perceptions about each other and responding to the complexity of the world that we live in. We also aim to increase the circulation of design skills and knowledge globally. So, engaging in this platform is an example of that, and encouraging the creation of new work and ideas. And it's not just in service to the ideas for ideas' sake, but how do we really create positive cultural exchange and products and services and ideas that will shape our future. So a little bit about the British Council, just because it might be new to some of you. The British Council is the UK's international organisation for cultural relations. So the aim of the organisation is to create friendly knowledge and understanding between the people of the UK and other countries around the world. And we work in 110 countries around the world. And this is quite important. Our work is centered around the arts, culture, education, and language. So I'm part of the arts and culture team. And while there's a lot to talk about in those other areas, I'm not going to touch on those today, but there's a lot more information on the website, of course, if you're interested. So arts at the British Council. Firstly, why the arts? So arts and culture are key drivers in a country's identity and major contributors to a country's creative expression and innovation. And I think particularly in these strange times that we find ourselves in, artistic practice, so I use art in the broadest sense, encompassing design, architecture, design, and fashion here, as well as other disciplines. But this artistic or creative practice really transcends borders and boundaries, differences and prescribed agendas, and promotes trust, openness, understanding, and a vibrant sense of community. And I think it's worth saying there's also a real, as we know, a real sense that the arts can push experimentation and can sort of go places that maybe you can't go in other ways. And that's a really important point. And through engaging artistic practitioners and cultural agencies, international cultural leaders, and more, we believe that we can demonstrate mutuality in action, supporting and embracing diversity and self-expression, cultural awareness, and mutual respect. I bolded that word mutuality, actually, because I wanted to pick up on something there. That word, sort of when I've given this presentation before, or variations of this before, the words that have been there are soft power. And soft power, as you may know, refers to sort of a country's sort of, rather than the way that it can denote its place in the world through culture, but actually those increasingly at the British Council, and I know elsewhere, we're having conversations about whether or not that's the right term. The word power itself is very loaded. I know it's caveated there with the word soft, but we've decided to start talking about that in a different way. So that's why I've highlighted that word mutuality. And I think it bears discussion and thinking about if that's how do we express this in this current world. So I put that out there partially because I just wanted to flag it, but also say I think it's something that we might want to pick up on, or all of you might want to pick up on as well. So our work in the arts at the British Council centres on these 6 areas. They are architecture, design and fashion, which is sort of 3 areas in one. That's the area that I run, and I'll talk a little bit about our programs in those areas. Film, literature, music, theatre and dance, and then the visual arts. So how do we actually work? Well, this is how we sort of describe the strands of our work. So first of all, it's about exchanging and connecting. So this means creating networks of, again, creatives or artists, as we might in the broadest term, enabling creative mobility. So what we really mean by that is people who are engaged in creative practice going and exchanging, going to another country, another region, and learning and sharing in those places. And so it's not only about those who might be practicing in the UK going elsewhere, but also bringing international creativity into the UK. And we run lots of festivals and seasons to highlight creativity in a particular region or country. So examples would be, we recently worked very closely with Japan to do lots of exchange with them, and then in the middle of last year we did an exchange with Georgia, and then coming up we have a sort of closer relationship with Italy. So just to say that's a big part of what we do as well, is to focus in on that. And the next one, that should say creative economy instead of economy. We work to support thriving and inclusive creative economies. So supporting opportunities not only for UK creatives to go internationally, but likewise bringing that back to the UK so that we can build capacity in this area around what it means to be an inclusive creative economy. And then the final one is termed culture and development. And this is really around how the arts and culture can respond to big global challenges such as equality, diversity, sustainability, and inclusivity. And cultural heritage also falls under this category as well. Everything we do is mapped against the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and we aim to respond to these so that we often pin our work to these. And this it's not a perfect matrix or framework, but it's pretty good, and it's obviously widely accepted around the world. So it's for us a useful way of ensuring that we are mapping to this, and that we're thinking about our work and how it contributes to these aims. And it's important to say that when we're thinking about this and how we organize our work, that sustainable development is of course part of a complex series of interactions between the economic and the social and the environmental, and we believe that there's sort of you need to accept the inherent complexity and interrelation of all of these to enact change. So next, I thought I'd just tell you a little bit about the work that we do in architecture, design, and fashion. So this is my team, my department, and we have a special focus on creating international opportunities for emerging design talent, like all of you who are on Modual, and supporting experimental and sort of critical design approaches to explore our common futures. So I thought I'd share just 2 case studies, not that many, and I'm going to whip through them just in the interest of time, but there's more information, of course, on the website. So the first program I wanted to mention is called Making Matters. And Making Matters is all about making and the future of making. So the British Council started working on this topic in 2013, recognizing the pivotal role of places like maker spaces as hubs, which were looking at the future of redistributed manufacturing systems and how we use digital making tools, but also how they can build communities and access to making and repair culture. And crucially, this is really important, as places where new materials and methodologies were being developed as we strive to move toward a more circular economy. So again, just because I said we map all our programs onto the Sustainable Development Goals, this program responds to goals 11 and 12 around sustainable cities and communities, and also consumption and production patterns. So what is it? So together with the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, who maybe some of you know about, they are really key in thinking about the future of moving toward a circular economy. So we're working closely with them on this program. And it's essentially a series of circular futures design labs where we aim to unlock new circular design opportunities through cross-cultural collaboration and international exchange. And this is really important. So it may not sound that groundbreaking, but I think the reason this is so exciting is that we really aim to use the global perspectives here on what circular design means. Particularly in the UK, there's emerging a very sort of distinct way of thinking about what circular design is, and we the sort of British Council's role in all of this as a global organization that's all about knowledge exchange across borders and around the world, is we want to ensure that we're thinking about this from all angles and from all cultures in a way. So whether or not that means designing out waste, or designing for recycling, or designing for repurpose, and then importantly, how our design choices, our material choices, and our manufacturing choices affect all of this. So the basis for this this work is this sort of idea that we must move to a circular economy. I'm somehow imagining that maybe most of you are familiar with this, so I won't dwell on it too long, but as we all know, our current system of a linear economy is no longer working for businesses, for people, the environment, and it works on the premise that we're taking resources from the ground, making products, which we use, and then we throw them away. And the circular economy is an alternative where we keep resources in the system for as long as possible and extract maximum value from them while they're in use, and encourage a culture of sharing and best practice to accelerate this transition. And I hope this is of use to you. One of the things that we're using to share with all of the creatives that we're working with is the Circular Design Guide by IDEO and the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. So this is essentially a guide that tells you on different ways that you can think about the circular economy and how you can design with circular principles in mind. And actually, just to say, I think it's particularly as you're all embarking on your projects right now, I'd encourage you to look at this. It's freely available to download. So those of you who are interested, please take a look at this. You can see the web address right there. So in terms of how it's actually happening, what we're doing is bringing designers and makers and creative entrepreneurs from different parts of the world for an intensive program of design workshops. So we've done that with designers and makers from Southeast Asia, and then again, actually just at the end of 2019, so good timing, we did it with designers and makers from Sub-Saharan Africa. And ultimately, this is about fostering a global network of designers and makers that are thinking about how to use materials in the most circular way possible, and then sharing this through peer-to-peer mentoring exchange. Again, much like the Modual premise. So the next program I wanted to talk about is called Crafting Futures, and this is a program, it's a growing area of work for us at the British Council, this area of craft. It started with programs in Thailand, which looked at was working with a university that were working with artisans in the north of Thailand who were working with traditional indigo dyes, which is a material that's under threat from land clearance and development. And the program went so well, and there was this growth of interest in the link between sustainable development and craft that we have designed this program, Crafting Futures. And this now works in 20 countries around the world. It's a big, big global program. Again, just to share the goals that this one responds to. This is one of our largest programs, and it maps onto several goals, as you can see there. So what this program is, this is all about supporting the future of craft around the world. So what that actually means is that we're interested in the craft itself. So the materials and the techniques and the process and the outcome, the product that comes out of that, but also the craftspeople and their livelihoods. So in some parts of the world, craft is a really important contributor to the economy. And so we need to think about how craft can strengthen economic, social, and cultural development. This is sort of how the program is run. These are some of the things that we do. And I'm not going to dwell on these too much. I've got a slide on each one, but I'll just go quickly through these. So the first is to say that we run residencies. This is a model that we run throughout all of our programs. Again, it goes back to that heart of that idea that exchange between people around the world, going and spending time somewhere with in another place with another community is so important. This has been the most popular type of outcome for us so far because it allows for that deep engagement between designers and artisans around the world. So there's a brief that's set by a local community, and then it focuses on an output that has shared learning and mutual exploration around something. And just to say there's an example there that it's, we thought that the focus would be on the outcome, the product that might come out of these residencies, but actually we've realized that it's much more about the exchange and the relationship between designers and craftspeople. So it says there a branding tool that came out in Chile rather than the creation of a new type of product, for example. And I think that's an interesting learning for us that happened through this. We have lots of education collaborations. In Myanmar, we're working with the Sonder School of Weaving to develop a new design curriculum, and this is coupled with English language and business training as well. And then in Malaysia, we're working with the Glasgow School of Art, who are, of course, also a partner here in Modual, facilitating a pop-up school as well. Lots of digital learning and exchange. Now, this is really interesting. This was on the agenda for Crafting Futures long before the COVID situation, simply because we needed a way to connect with all the communities around the world that we're working in. So it's only become more pressing, and in fact, we're currently thinking about how do we accelerate some of this, and learning from lots of different organizations and about how you do this, including from the Modual platform itself. I think it's worth saying. And then finally, storytelling. Storytelling is a huge part of the program, and whether or not that's through exhibitions or through national museums, through fashion weeks, design weeks, or media partnerships. And we've had quite successul media partnerships so far, resulted in film content, and we regularly run study tours in the UK and internationally. Now this is on hold at the moment, unfortunately, and we don't know when we'll get back to this, but something that we're hoping to revisit. I didn't have time to put it on the slide here, but I wanted to just let you all know that you should search the hashtag on Instagram or Twitter called Why I Make, and maybe I'll send it to the team and they can forward it to all of you, which is a new hashtag that we've come up with for a series of films that link to this program, we're all about how different craftspeople around the world are working and sort of what their motivation is to design and to make. And I think it would be really inspirational to all of you. The films are beautifully done and really short, so I would encourage you to look at those. So I'm just going to come to the end here. In asking me to sort of speak with all of you today, I was asked to say, like, what does it mean for you to work in this new normal? And the reality is that, I'm still figuring out, my organization is still figuring out. And so the things I've put here are the things that have really come to the top of the agenda for us, but we don't have the answers in this at the moment. And I think I say that quite honestly because I think it's important to say that this is really tough. We're all trying to figure things out at the moment. But the questions that we're exploring are, the British Council is the UK's cultural relations organisation. So what does that mean to sort of do cultural relations when we're working so much more digitally, and we're more connected than ever before, but we know that there's challenges. Similarly, how do we more explicitly demonstrate our commitment to addressing the climate emergency? And how do we raise awareness, and how do we deliver programs and support creatives to do this as well? And then more explicitly demonstrating our commitment to anti-racism as well, through raising awareness, delivering programs, and supporting artists and creatives as well. So, and I say more explicitly on those latter 2 points simply because they have been a core part of the British Council's mission and agenda for a very long time, but it has become clear that it has not been explicit enough. And so we are now actively working to really bring those things to the fore in how we work internally, but also externally. So, and I'll just conclude by saying, again, I was sort of asked, what advice would you give to all of you on Modual working on this? And I think I just would say, first is, use your platform and your network to raise awareness of the issues that you believe need attention more than anything else, the global challenges that you're passionate about, and really to use your network to bring underrepresented voices to the forefront as well. I would encourage you to develop your creative and design skills, not only for your own benefit, but to share them with others and to develop positive cross-cultural exchange and address the global challenges that we all face. We are all in this together, and it's not just about sort of developing our skills for us as individuals, but actually what can we do when we work together in this way. And the final point, it's something I sort of put in at the last minute here, but I just wanted to say, I wrote begin again, because what do I really mean by that? Well, we find ourselves in a really challenging situation at the moment. And I think this is our collective moment, not just for corrective action around how we remedy the mistakes and things that we've done poorly in the past, whether or not that's how we've treated the planet or how we've treated each other, as the systemic inequalities that have been highlighted recently show. But this is our opportunity to demonstrate how we might begin a new relationship with each other, with the environment, and create new policies and systems. And I don't even know if those are the right words, policies. Maybe we don't need policies in the way that we think about them. But it's our moment to begin again. So that sort of would be my parting thought to all of you. Just a very big thank you from me to all of you. I hope I'm on time. No one shouted at me and said I'm not, so I'm going to leave it there.
Brilliant. Thanks, Sevra. Lovely. Very much appreciated. And yes, I'm sure a lot of the people on this call probably discovered about Modual through the British Council, because we've got 11 time zones on this workshop. And yeah, it's a really international project this time around. And thank you so much for the support there. It's fascinating how these talks, a lot of the experts are coming in from very different perspectives, but saying very similar things. And I think the pandemic particularly has been a very interesting time for all of us to rethink our values and kind of explore, possibilities have emerged. Clearly anything is possible now in many ways.
Yeah.
An exciting time. Okay, we've got some time for questions before we got a double bill this afternoon. But if anyone's got any questions for Sevra, please post them in the questions channel on Slack. I've got a window open and someone drilling behind me. Never mind. So and what I really enjoyed about your talk as well, and I know a bit about it, is the personal journey for you. So this feels like a role that you kind of pre-designed for yourself.
That's a very, very kind thing to say, and it feels that way to me as well. I mean, I feel very lucky that my job is essentially to use design as a medium to connect people around the world, but with each other, and to do amazing things. And I'll say something that I don't often say, but part of the I worked as an architect and urban designer for a long time, and I had a sort of epiphany when I was doing that, which is like, actually, I'm not a great designer myself, in the sense that actually I realized that my real strength was in the connecting bit. And it wasn't an easy realization. I think if there's anybody out there that's, going to any sort of going into education, focusing on creative practice is tough. And architecture school is particularly tough. And we teach architecture in a very old-fashioned way. And I was taught that what I aspired to be was a sort of architect with my name on the door, essentially. And it was a tough realization when I realized not only was that not something that I really wanted, but that I wasn't very good at it. And so that sort of, maybe the two things went together. I'd say it happens at midday today. I attended a talk that was run by the British Council, and there was a woman speaking. I don't know her last name, but her first name was Ndidi, and I believe she's, and I don't want to get this wrong, but I think she was based in Nigeria. And she said something, and it was about exactly this, around, how are we going to get through this, and how do we work together to get through the current crisis that we find ourselves in? And she said, well, it's simple. It's about collaboration, and I know that's at the heart of Modual, and it's about leaving your ego and your logo at the door. And I just, it's like that's it. She said it better than I could.
I'm writing that down. Ego and logo at the door. I'll be. You'll see that in another Modual workshop at some point, I would have thought. I'll be claiming that as my own.
I'll find. I'm sure it's on Twitter. I'll find the exact quote and credit her appropriately, and I'll send it to you.
In my turn, excellent. But I think that the great thing about that, and we're getting some people agreeing with me online. Abby is saying she feels the same. I think the thing that is hard to realise when you're in art school, maybe, or if you're studying creative practice, is that those roles where you are a creative producer or a creative manager or whatever it is, they're just as powerful, they're just as fulfilling, and there's no one better to take on those roles than someone with the creative training. So it's not like that goes to waste. You understand the process, and then you step into a space where you're always meant to be. So I totally hear that. Thank you. Lots of thank yous on our question channel. Maria saying that the new normal gave her the opportunity of being in Chile, where she is spending a lot meeting hand knitters and starting a brand of hand knitted products. So that speaks to your craft point.
Amazing.
And Lefterist is saying that he really enjoyed every slide. Yeah, we've got some people typing away. So we've got a few more, but are you going to be able to, Iona wants to know, does the British Council have opportunities for design graduates?
I would like to be able to tell you yes, but I can't. And so both in the sense that at the moment, as you know, lots of organizations are sort of not able to recruit. So that's the sort of first answer. And so that's the honest answer for the moment. The British Council does have a brand team and have, as I said, a wider arts team. But it's generally recruiting people, I guess, more in this brokering and connecting type role. So if that's of interest, then keep checking it out. I mean, as I said, there's a pause on recruitment at the minute, but that we all hope that won't be last forever. So go on the website and check it out. But I wouldn't want to mislead you and say that there were loads of opportunities at the minute.
Well, that's the honesty's best policy in that situation, obviously. And I'm sure you're very present. The British Council's very involvement in this workshop is certainly empowering a lot of people as well. Great, thank you so much, Sevra. Are you around and answer some more questions on the Slack by any chance?
Yes, I am.
Fantastic.
I'm getting used to Slack, but yes, I'll move myself over to Slack now, and I'll answer any questions there. And I'll engage Fred, you, or the rest of the module team to help me if I can't figure it out.
Fantastic. We're always there for you. Excellent. Thank you again, Sevra. Much appreciated. And we're going to see you
on Tuesday. I'll see all of you on Tuesday. Yeah. And I just to say, hello everyone, and thanks for having me. And I'm just hearing your questions, and knowing that you're out there is really amazing. So thanks so much.
We'll get you some faces to look at next time, I promise. Not just me, gorgeous though I am. Oh dear, I can't believe I said that. All righty, thanks again, Sevra. So much appreciated. We'll see you next week.
Right. Bye.
Great, and that is our first half of our double bill. And we just need a few minutes, I think, to set up with Design Manchester. So let's say we'll kick off at 25 past. And so if you just want to hang out here, but maybe turn the audio or the sound off, we're going to be testing stuff. But we'll see you in 5. So 25 past for Malcolm Garrett and John Owens from Design Manchester. See you in 5. See you in 5.
Apologies in advance because I've got the slides and John's got the buttons. Okay, so this is where we start. Hang on. He's lost a slide.
There you go.
No, but there was words on the previous slide.
That's all I've got there. Sorry.
Oh, this is a bit weird. Apologies to everybody.
Go on then. Let's kick off here then.
So if you hit the next button, yes, that's better. There's words. So John, this is the slide that you wrote. This is why did we start Design Manchester?
Why?
Why did we do it? We are 8 years later. Sorry, let's get serious. Well, Manchester is, as you can read, Manchester's a fabulous city. It's not London. Too much of what happens in this country is capital centric, and so much of what goes on in the United Kingdom outside of London is of equal or more importance than what goes on in London. And we felt that Manchester was due a celebration of design. It was prompted by the fact that I work with, I'm a graduate of Manchester School of Art. I think John's, if I'm correct in saying you're a graduate of Salford University.
I am indeed. Yeah.
Manchester and Salford are like twin cities, for those of you who are not familiar. And a little bit like London, Manchester and Salford are divided by a river. One side of the river is Salford and the other side of the river is Manchester. Anyway, enough of that. I'm a graduate of Manchester School of Art 40 years ago, and Manchester School of Art is actually the oldest undergraduate school of art in the country. And in 2013, it was 175 years old. And the dean of the School of Art, who I've been working with as an ambassador for the School of Art, decided, obviously with the university itself, that to celebrate this 175th anniversary by staging 175 events at the school or around Manchester throughout the year. And he asked me to think of an event that we could organize that, if you like, would be the flagship event out of 175. And I suggested that we organize a conference, and the conference would be in the town hall, not in the School of Art, because the School of Art had been formed actually as the School of Design I'm now trying to do the maths, in 1838. Yes, 1838, and it was created to support the design industry, the textiles industry, and the ceramics industries in Manchester and the Northwest. And so, to celebrate this 175th anniversary, I figured it would be a good idea if we had a design conference, and we hosted it in the town hall, both to remind the city council and the city councillors and the city itself that this fantastic institution of the School of Art was in their city and still going, and a flag design school not only in the UK but in the world. The other thing I thought it would do would actually flag to students, because as you'll see as we go through the presentation, a big part of our audience is students, and certainly for the initial event. Thanks, John, for clicking forward. Click again, and it'll bring up the rest of the screen, because people can read as we're rambling. Anyway. Out of this idea for organizing a conference, David Crow, the dean, introduced me to John, who was active in the design community in Manchester, and was familiar with the idea of organizing such an event, because because it's, as John will contest, organizing something like this is a massive undertaking, and I wasn't going to do it on my own. So David kindly introduced me to John. John introduced me to Fiona, and I introduced John and Fiona to my partner Casper. And pretty soon we had a team of 4 people who could manage the mechanics of organizing such an event. Anyway. Fast forward, that was 2013. Fast forward to 2019, last year, our 7th event, and I think if you go to the next slide, John, and the next one. So, in 2013, we thought that no, the next one, back. Too many clicks. You have to be patient.
There you go.
There, now it'll fill the screen. I did these clever transitions, you see.
This is it. It's too clever for me, this.
I shouldn't do clever transitions online. Anyway, in 2013, we thought that what the event we were organising, this celebration of the 175th anniversary, would be a one-off event. But 2 things happened. The first thing that happened was that, of course, because our event was only one of 175, just by default, there were several other events that were going to take place within that same week. So before we knew it, not only did we have a conference, we had a festival. and John, I think that, yeah, you introduced the idea of 10 by 10.
Yeah,
linking up artists with designers. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
So we found on our hands then that we had a festival rather than a conference, and what that enabled us to do was invite people from all around the world to Manchester, but also for us to start promoting creatives in Manchester, not just designers, but makers, crafters. And one idea we had for that, and we rode for 2 years, was 10 by 10, where we wanted to grow the community in the city. So we invited 10 creatives to collaborate with 10 people they would have never worked with before. So we would have a typographer working with an architect, a papercraft artist working with an illustrator or a typographer, to create work on a theme. And the theme was longevity, which was to reflect obviously the celebration of the School of Art, but it also became a platform then for new creatives and established creatives in the city to work together, and for us to really cement our sort of vision of where we stood as again, not just being a conference, as a platform for creatives in the city, and to have a global reach. And that, I think, off the back of that, I think me, Malcolm and Fiona in particular felt galvanised off doing that, and we felt that we're onto something here. I think we're really onto something where this wasn't just a bums on seat, watching a talk. This is people really, really being inspired and getting involved in what we're doing, and from that, then that really sort of set sail then for the future years, didn't it, Malcolm?
Yeah, because having done a festival and enjoyed it in 2013, when it came to 2014, stupidly perhaps, we all said, let's do that again.
Do it again, yeah.
And so in 2014 we did it again, and we introduced, and we thought from the outset then, we thought in terms of more than one event. So we thought of not just the day-long conference, but we were thought about what other aspects of a design are we not catering for at this point, or should we cater for? So we introduced the Great Debate, which is still the only annual UK debate on design, and that was geared, where the conference was probably geared towards students of design and practitioners. The Great Debate was more looking at the role of design plays in society, and was geared towards government, local government, councils, academia, and so it was a much more effects, the design and society, rather than design and practice.
Yeah,
also that year, and we'll come back to we've moved on.
Because you've got your debate here. So
okay, yeah. So what I was going to say before we move on to this, John, what I was going to say is in that previous slide, what we showed is an evolution from 2013, where we started with one event, through to last year, where we end up with well, we lose count of how many events, 50 events in venues all over the city. And with 75,000 people attending, workshops, exhibitions. Again, we'll come back to that. But we've been through this phenomenal period of growth from the idea of like, let's put some chairs in the town hall and invite some students, through to becoming what we think is probably the major festival of design in the UK. Now we can move on.
Yeah, these are our core things, aren't we, Malcolm? That make up the festival. These are our core things. Yeah,
there's four main components, I guess. The International Design Conference, which we talked a little bit about, the Great Debate, which we talked a little bit about. But from the outset, we always had a major exhibition, and we had a major exhibition in the School of Art. Also in 2013, they opened a brand new building, the Benzie building, and one part of one aspect of the Benzie building is its 4 floors of atrium space with a stairwell going through the middle, and what they call the vertical gallery. So it's 4-story high gallery walls, because the School of Art was our, if you like, our founding partner. They give us access to this gallery each year, and so we've staged some fantastic exhibitions. We'll show some stills of those a little bit later. The other component we thought, and I'm a member of BAFTA, the British Academy of Film and Television Arts, and as a graphic designer, I was always disappointed, shall I say, that neither BAFTA nor the Oscars recognized the role of design in film. And so we decided that we'd host a film season and look at design in film, whether that's title design, whether it's costume design, whether it's incidental design, like Annie Atkins in Budapest Hotel. And so we kind of looked at all aspects of film. And so these are our kind of flagship events around which we build everything else.
Definitely. I'll move on.
Move on. I'll let you talk about this one, because you are the voice of design.
A big gob of design. You know, we as I've kind of stated before, part of the aim is, I think, and it goes back to when we founded the festival, is that, you know, it's great going to other cities and enjoying and going to conferences and experiencing different cultures. That's, you know, the beauty of going obviously, you know, abroad to things like that. But I did feel some envy when you look at amazing conferences in places like Barcelona and Berlin, and that we couldn't have that here in our own city. But also, just because we've got such an amazing design community in the city, why can't we do that ourselves? And why can't we be inviting people from all over the world to come to Manchester? And I think that kind of sums up Manchester to a T, and it's got a very DIY ethic. You know, music is a big part of our city, and very much, if you want to do something, you can go and do it. And I think that's the same with the design community. We've got a lot of, you know, little cluster groups doing talks and workshops and things like that. So we felt we wanted to bring that together and champion it massively on an official platform, but also, you know, that benefits our city, you know, economically and socially, in that, you know, we want talent to come to the city. We want them to work on the brands that we've got here. We have a lot of big brands that are based here in Manchester, that are born here, and export around the world, but also big sort of companies that have moved here to the city. So we want that talent to stay here. We want people to move here. We also, big thing obviously with education is, we want to support colleges and universities and show career pathways, in that Manchester is a design city, and that you can stay here and have a great career in design and make a change. That's really important for us to go to kids in colleges and make them understand that, you know, a couple of miles away is this big city where there's really cool things happening. And it's not about money, and it's not about even class in some ways. It's about having that spark and that enthusiasm. And if we can nurture that by taking them to Coder Dojo workshops that we do, where coding for kids or things like that, that for me, that's the most satisfying thing. So it is being a platform and being a voice of design. And now those career pathways, for me, that's what I'm really, really passionate about.
Yes, it's kind of really important that we recognised our various audiences, if you like, and encourage grassroots design, encourage, as John says, career pathways being shown to primary level, at secondary school level, through to obviously our obvious target audience is degree level students, but also encouraging young startup companies to do their own thing, have the confidence, and feel that whilst they're given the backing to do something for themselves, they're not out on their own. They're part of a bigger community, and the feedback we've had in recent years is fantastic. If we've got time, one of the things we want to show you today is a magazine that a recent graduate produced from the workshop that we did last year, completely off our own bat. Fantastic. So we want to show you that.
Sounds great. I'm just going to speak to that, guys. We are running a little bit over time, and we've got students in all different time zones. So
click through your slides quickly. The next batch is about 20 slides.
Yeah,
right.
Sure. These are just some images of guest highlights of some of the projects that we've done. Obviously, the conference, which is a main part of our schedule, which takes place every year. Exhibitions that we take place inside things like this, the Benzie building, which is a university building. We get world-class speakers, obviously, from all over the world. We've even had Mr. Fred Deakin here with us, which was great. It gives us a chance to showcase, you know, old and new work, and pay respect to graphic design as well as other things like furniture design, but also, like I say, debate about design as well. Down to even music as well, which is obviously a big part of creativity, and hosting bands and talks. So Malcolm, I'll just fire through these really quickly.
There's only a few more. It looks like we won't get a chance to talk about Exhibition Rebellion.
That's fine.
Final slide. That's
fine. We'll leave this on the very final slide here. Is we worked last year with sorry, just go through to this. We worked last year with Salford University with Extinction Rebellion, and this is a thing as well, is that now we have this platform that we can work with different organisations like Extinction Rebellion. Sorry, I'm just getting to the end of this. To show you, here we go, where we can work with people like Extinction Rebellion and connect them with students. So if students want to get involved with activism, we can join the dots with design as well. And that's obviously been quite a big part of what we do as well. Malcolm?
Yes. It's been a fantastic journey over 7 years. This year we're facing an amazing challenge because we will not have a physical conference after we finally found our perfect venue in the Bridgewater Hall. This year we can't really have a conference there, so we're looking at a conference not dissimilar to what we're experiencing here, but looking at ways we can take that into the physical space as well. So looking at a digital, physical, and international. I mean, we've been international in our outlook from day one, and we're looking to look at the restrictions that are placed on us because of the pandemic, to exploit those restrictions and exploit new opportunities. So we'll be revisiting a lot of those international connections we have. We'll be revisiting the crossover between digital and physical, both in terms of the presentations we do, the people we talk to, and also one of the things we have access to are all the digital screens that you find across the city, on railway stations, in traffic signs, in shop windows. And so we're looking at a digital citywide screen takeover. So it's going to be an interesting year. So kind of watch this space, and that's probably all we've got time for.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for inviting us, Fred. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Fred.
Yeah, no, absolute pleasure to have you, and thank you for picking up the pace. Actually, got the questions now. It's like zippy doo now. I saw actually, John, if you can go back to the Malcolm's exhibition, you had the Buzzcocks playing, and then you had the sleeve that I bought, the Love You More.
There you go. We were lucky enough. I mean, I started my professional career designing record sleeves for Buzzcocks, a local Manchester band who effectively kick-started the entire regenerated the entire music industry in Manchester. And it was the 40th anniversary of that in 2017. And we were lucky enough to host Buzzcocks playing in Manchester, their last ever performance in Manchester.
Wow, amazing. No, sad loss, Pete Shelley. As always, fantastic talk. Thank you so much. Design Manchester are our partners, so many of you will have found out about this module workshop from their network. So thank you for joining us, and thank them for this opportunity if you're enjoying Module. If you've got any questions for Malcolm and John, you can put them in the questions channel as always. I'm aware that in many time zones it's very late now. We're going to end at 5. But we do, and I have basically very little to say after this regarding the workshop itself. But we did a module with Manchester University, Manchester School of Art, didn't we, Malcolm? Where we kind of got 3 schools of art, them Falmouth and UAL.
You did, yes, yeah, Falmouth, Manchester, and UAL, absolutely.
Yeah, no, that was a great thing, and I think that what you've clearly got here is the opportunity to build those networks. And again, I think you're absolutely right to leap in at this kind of interesting place. Exactly,
that was the point I'm making. We've kind of dipped our toe into various things over the years, whether it's interconnected workshops with Modual, or whether it's having video tie-ins from Los Angeles. We had Alex McDowell give a presentation from Los Angeles, and we've always explored this space of utilizing the screens around the city. So we're just looking to go, okay, what can we do and what should we do? Rather than trying to replicate something as many other festivals are doing that we see, let's exploit what new opportunities we have.
Definitely.
Great. So if people want to get involved, how would they do? People in your area, how would they do that?
How would they just email us? It's John at Design MCR and Malcolm at Design MCR. We're always here. We, of course, John and I are obviously going to be sitting into Module over the next few days because we're coming back for a crit. So we are literally on this on the Slack team for the next few days. So if any of you out there want to ask questions, want to get involved, are interested in doing things locally in your own cities and countries, we'd be really up for hearing from you. Absolutely.
Well, that's very generous, guys. Thanks so much. We'll keep this conversation going. Really little expertise in the room. The festival looks incredible. I've been to it, as you pointed out. I've spoken at it, I think more than once actually. So
you've been there twice.
I have, and I'm sure I'm going to be there.
Yeah. And you didn't see there was a slide that didn't come up that had your name in it. You're involved this year, whether you like it or not.
There we go. I'm in. I tried to get out, and you pull me back in. No, that's I'm very happy to pull back in. Brilliant. Thank you, Barry. See you next week.
Thanks, everybody. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks so much. See you next week. Much appreciated. Fantastic. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Design Manchester. And yes, thank you, Module folk, for sticking with us. It's been a bit of a roller coaster today. I know we've had some tech glitches. I apologize. We're not going to try and fix any of that today. We had a glitch in that apparently Fuse got upgraded without us noticing. So there is a reason, but as I say, it's not about there being problems. There will be problems. It's about how quickly they get fixed. So let's not do anything else today. Let's just chill. It's been a monster day. Big commitment from you guys. You're in your final projects. Really exciting. 2 talks, not just 1. With the people that are going to come back very shortly and give you their mentorship and crits. opinions. So all I want you to do now is go and give us some feedback. Give us the feedback that is in your heart. Just let us know how it's going. Let us know how you're thinking about it. You know, we can take whatever you want for us. We'd love to hear the positive stuff. We're always very interested in the constructive criticism. And then your buddy. And that's it. Feedback, buddy time. The buddy lists will be, I think, pretty much the same as yesterday, but I'm sure they'll get posted again. And yeah, see you tomorrow. Monster Day. I'm going to go and have a lie down, I can tell you that much. Yeah, tomorrow we get going properly, and we'll talk through everything tomorrow morning. There's already instructions in the Slack about Fuse, but leave Fuse alone for tonight. We don't need to know about that. Look at it tomorrow. And yeah, enjoy. You're in your teams. Exciting times. And I send big farewells from who can't get on the Fuse call for some reason. So we're going to fix that as well. But I know she's with you as well. All right, I'm out of here. Feedback buddy time. Feedback buddy time. Thank you very much. Good night. See ya.